Hi and welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how you can create this newsletter in Word. So let's open a new document and we're going to start by inserting our images because then we can base our colour scheme around our images. So go to Insert, go to Pictures, Picture from File, select the images that you want to. You can use your Shift key to select multiple images and then just click Insert. When you insert images into Word, you'll see that you won't be able to move them. So select the image you want, go to Wrap Text and select in front of text. Do the same with this image here, Wrap Text in front of text. Now you'll be able to move them both and resize them. So to make them the exact crop or size we want, we can go up and use this crop tool here. Make sure you're on picture format, but if this doesn't appear, it's because you haven't selected your image. So I'm going to go to the crop tool here and just click on it, and you can see we've got these black markers around the edge of the image. I can just pull and push these markers to indicate which section of the image that I want, or the size of image, and then I can move my image around in that selection. When I'm happy, just press enter. And for these two images, I want a curved corner on the images. So I'm going to go back up to crop and click on the drop down. Go to crop to shape, and I'm going to select this rounded rectangle. And you can see now the corners have been changed, and just press enter. I'm going to do the same with this image here. Use the crop tool, choose the selection I want, press enter. Go to the crop tool, crop to shape, and select the rounded rectangle. Now I can resize these images and pop them where I want them. Now this is just a rough placement. We'll do all the alignments at the end. And now what we want to do is to select our colours. So I'm just going to firstly insert a shape. I'm going to go to Insert Shapes, click on the drop down, and again a rounded triangle or rounded rectangle, sorry. Click and drag, and then we can just move this shape roughly to where we want it. Now you can see we've got this little yellow square here, and we can move it, click and drag, and you can see how this will alter the corners of your rectangle. And that's just a personal choice. So once we've selected it, you can see once again we're on shape format. You can go to this shape fill icon here, click on the drop down. Now you can select from any colour you want, but to make this a lot more cohesive, what you really should do is try to match some colours in your images, and usually up to 3 colours is acceptable. So go to More Fill Colours, and here you'll see you've got this colour wheel with this little circular icon. You can move this little circle anywhere you like in the colour wheel. And if you look at this square here, this will be where the selected colour will be. You can also use this slider to adjust the brightness or darkness of that colour. If you are fortunate to have this eyedropper tool, just click on it, and this makes it very easy. You can simply move it anywhere around your images and just simply click on a colour, and you can see it's selected that colour there, and just click OK. You can see the colour has appeared here, but if I click on the drop down, you can see it's also appeared in my recent colours. So that's a way that you can keep hold of the colours you've just selected. If I deselect this shape, you can see we've got a border line. You can keep it if you want to, but I'm going to take it off. Select it. Again, make sure you're on shape format. Go to outline and select no outline. Now, because I've already selected this shape I want and slightly customized it by taking off the borderline, I'm now just going to copy and paste it. The quickest way for me to do that is to select it, hold down my Alt or Option key on my keyboard, click and drag. You can go ahead and use the normal copy and paste, which obviously is in the Home tab here. You just copy, deselect, click paste, and you'll get a duplicate. So for this one here, I'm just going to use it for the title. And then again, I'm going to copy another one up here to use as another title as well. So these rounded edges aren't quite what I want, so I'm just going to move that little yellow box. And once again here as well. There we go. I'm just going to do a rough placement. Then I'm also going to make a bit of a logo. So go to Insert, Shapes, select the circle, click and drag whilst holding down your Shift key, otherwise you'll make an oval. And then back up to Shape Format, go to More Fill Colours, and I'm going to select my next colour using the eyedropper tool, but once again you can select any colour you like. We'll go to a green and select OK, and then take the outline off again. I'm going to duplicate this circle, and then my final colour I haven't actually picked from these two images. There is a rough pink in this man's shorts here, so I've actually just selected this pink here to go with my design. So I'm going to put these next to each other, but for this one, if I go to Shape Format and go all the way along here to Format Pane, we've got some additional customization tools here. So the paint pot here refers to the border line and the fill colour. If I just click on Fill, you can see down here we've got a transparency slider. I'm just going to move that along, and as you can see, I have this transparency here that I can use with this other circle just to create that effect. I'm going to select the other circle as well by holding down my Command or Control key, and then I'm going to go to Group and select Group, and now these two circles are just one group. Then I'm going to go and select another shape for the corners, so go to Insert, Shapes, and scroll down, and here you can see we've got this shape here. I'm just going to select that one, click and draw out that shape. Then once again select my colour and take off the outline, and then I'm going to move it down here, rotate it. Again, with these yellow sliders, the yellow boxes, you can alter this shape, and again here as well. Again, all personal choice. And then I'm going to duplicate that one and move it to the top here and just change the colour to blue. Now, because I had them both selected, it's changed both of them. So I'm just going to deselect them both and reselect the one and go up and select blue. This one here, I'm just going to change to pink. And this one here, in fact, is green. So we'll just use that green. Okay, so the final shape is just to insert the lines. So go to Shapes, down to Line, click, hold down your Shift key so you get a perfect horizontal line. Then go up to this icon here on the drop down onto Lines, and I'm going to select this green one here. I'm going to duplicate it again, move it down to here. Now for these two, I'm just going to align them. So whilst they're both selected, you can see they're selected with these circles on the end. Go to Align and select Align to Center, and then those two will be perfectly lined up together. Of course, then if we group them together, they're now both one element. I can actually go back up to Shape Format, go to Align, and if I select Align to Center, they'll actually be aligned to the center of the page and not aligned to the center of each other. I'm just going to go in and group them. Perfect. So now let's insert our text. Go to Insert, Text Box, Draw Text Box, click and draw out the text box. Then I'm going to put in some text. Then to customize the text, I'm just going to select it, go to Home, change the font. I'm using Concert 1, and in here I'm going to put font size 90, and I'm just going to stretch out this box so that it fits. Now all text boxes have a white background and a black border line. I don't want either of those, so I'm going to select it, go to Shape Format, go to this icon here and select No Outline, go to Shape Fill and select No Fill, and as you can see, there's no background on there. Then I'm going to go to the Home tab and select Align to Right and just roughly place it here. Again, I'm not concentrating on the alignment, I'll do all that later. Then I'm going to copy and paste this one again, and then in here I'm just going to type the name of my logo and then select it all, go to the Home tab, and I'm just going to reduce the size of it, reduce the size of this box. I'm actually going to change all of these to capitals and just reduce the size of that a little bit more. Just going to reduce the size of these a little bit, And then once I'm happy with the placement of these two, I can actually select them both, go to shape format, go to group and select group, and now that logo is one element, and again a lot easier to line up if I need to. Again, I'm going to copy this text box, and the first thing I need to do is to reduce the size of the text. Let's just go right back down to 12 and just go to left alignment. I'm going to change the font to this one here, and I'm going to change the font size to white because it's going to go within this box here. And then I'm sure you don't want to watch me type, so I'm just going to paste in the text, but I will go through it with you. So the text at the top here is this font and it's this size, and I've just put bold on it. And the text underneath, you can see the font that we've chosen and the font size as well. So with the shape, you can see that it doesn't quite fit, so I'm just going to pull the shape down so that we can fit all of our text in. Now the great thing about doing this is it's really flexible, and you can move everything around to suit your text, and text is probably the most important thing because you need to put in what you need to say. So once you put your text in, you can then resize the shape around it to make sure it all fits. Once you're happy with it, you can select them both. Now if you're struggling to select them both like this, then go up to shape format once you've selected one of them, and you can go to selection pane. And here we'll have everything that you've inserted into your newsletter. And if you use these little eyedropper tools, you can see how they switch on and off the various different elements. And if you want to select two of them, you just select one of them, hold down your Command or Control key and select a second one, and you can see those two elements are selected. So for example, I've got this rounded rectangle 3, which is what I want to select, and I've got the text in the middle. So I'm going to need to look for another text box. So it's not that one, it's this one at the top here. So I'm going to hold my Command or Control key down and select them both, go to group and select group. And there you've got one element. Once again, I'm going to use the text box, select all of the text, go to the Home tab, reduce the size to 12. Again, I'm sure you don't want to see me type, so I'm just going to paste in the text. Now it doesn't quite fit, so I'm not worrying about that at the moment because I'm just going to get everything into the document. Then I'm going to copy and paste this again. And this time select the text. I'm going to write title of section, and if I just move over here you'll see what I'm doing. There we go. Let's zoom in a little bit, and let's just increase the size. So go to the Home tab, increase the size of that text. Let's make sure it's aligned to center. I'm going to change it to white using the text color here. I'm actually going to make it bold, and I'm going to change it to Agency FB and increase the size of that. Now to make sure that this is all in the center, you're going to have to try and make the margin at the top and the bottom exactly the same, and it doesn't often work. So you can move this bar up and down at the bottom, but you can see how it starts to cut it off, but it jumps. Now if you start to do that but then hit the Alt or Option key, you can see how it smooths it out, and then you can see if you can get those margins at the top and bottom the same. Then you can additionally press your Command or Control key to select both the text and the box. Go to shape format, go to align, align to center, align, align to middle, and there you can see they're all perfectly lined up. And then go to group and select group. And then if we do the same at the top, so let's just borrow that box, let's just ungroup it a second. Select this box and copy and paste it to go in here. Let's just regroup these two. Go to group, select group. And then in this one, let's just change the text. Again, let's do the same, select them both. Check the alignment, align to center, align to middle, group and select group. Now we're just going to move this up, quickly ungroup this because I need to borrow this text. So I'm going to copy and paste this text. And then although you can't see it, I'm just going to select all that text go to the Home tab, go to Font Color, and I'm going to select a blue. And I'm just going to change the font to Concert 1, and it's bold. And then select the text and change it, and then select the text, and then go back over to this section here, shape options. We've also got text options here. So go to the text options, and then on this section here we've got text fill and text outline. So this allows us to put an outline color. So we'll go to solid line, and you can see Word has automatically picked green. So we're going to change that to pink, and then you can increase it if you want to over here. You can use these increase or decrease arrows. So now we've got everything in our newsletter. We need to now make sure it's all aligned and it makes sense. So what you've got to do is you've got to look around your newsletter to find, is everything in alignment to the right or to the center, across the top of everything, and around the other sides as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is to make sure that these letters here are lined up with this image here. Now sometimes you can use the alignment tools, but where you've got a small margin, Word will actually line up these lines here with the squares on. So if I was to line up the lines and the squares, it wouldn't be in line with the edge of the letters. So one thing you can do is you can move this down to where your image is. As you're moving it, if you press down your Alt or Option key, you can then stop it from that juttery movement. You can then align up the letters to the edge of this photograph, obviously making sure that photograph is exactly where you want it away from this margin, and simply use your arrow keys to move it up will ensure it's perfectly in line. And then we can do the same with this text as well. We can move this up, make sure it's perfectly in line, then simply use the arrow keys to move it down. Then to make sure that this section here is in the middle of this section here, we can then select them both, holding down that Command or Control key, go to Shape Format, go to Align, Align to Center. Make sure this one moves and not this one. If it does, you can always group them together and do the same process to line up this text as well. So that's all perfectly lined up to the right, but as you can see the lines don't go quite to the edge, and actually if I look at it now, do I want it to go to right to that edge? What I can do is select the letters, the image, the title and the text. I can group it all together, and then I can simply use my arrow keys to move it to the right, and then I can line it up with the edge of these lines here. Then I can do this to the other side, but before I do that I want to make sure that everything is the size I want it to be. So for example, this image here, if I just ungroup it, it's not the same height as this box here, so I can either make the text smaller and reduce the size of the box, or if it doesn't make the photograph too strange, I can actually lift up this image, or I can crop it to make it a bit squarer so the image will be naturally taller anyway. So I can do one of those three things. I've chosen to make the image a little bit taller just for the purpose of this demonstration. So I'm going to make sure that these two boxes here are perfectly lined up to the bottom, because I want to ensure this green box here is perfectly lined up with this one here. So I've just selected them both. Align to bottom, yes they are. So I can go ahead and group these two back up again, so I know that they're aligned. Then this one here, I can make sure that this one is aligned as well. I can pull this one up and then use my arrow keys to move it back down. And you have to kind of consider the distance between this line and your images above and below, as we would here. So we may have to move this up a little bit and move this line. If we're able to grab this line and move that line up, just to create a similar distance between them, and then move this weakly up a bit, so there's that distance as well. Just group those two together and then we can move those up. And again, this section here should be in the middle of this section here, just to allow it to make sense. And then with this logo, you can move it exactly where you want it, or you can move it slightly over because it's a logo. You can make it fit into sort of this section here. And then lastly, we've just got this text to tackle down here. We can move this graphic so it's out the way, and then make sure that's all perfectly lined up. Make sure this top bit here is also lined up with the top of this image here. Perfect. So now once you're finished, if you're completely happy with it, you can save this as a PDF file, File, Save As. So name it whatever you like and save it to whichever file you need to. File format, just on the edge of your page at the bottom here it says PDF. Click on PDF and you can save it as a PDF file, or you can obviously save it as your Word document if you want to. Alternatively, you can save it as a screenshot, and then you've got it as another JPEG if you want to use it online or you want to send it as an email. So I hope that's helped you today. If it has, please like and subscribe, and have a great day.